Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Wait a minute, let me see if y'all can hear me. Yep, you can. All right, very good. Welcome, one and all. Let me say hello to a few people, like Connie Balmer. Hey, Connie Balmer, happy Monday to you. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Juneteenth. It is Juneteenth. Let me see. Janice Goodrich, Marvin Cato, or is it Cato? Cato. You say Cato, I say Cato. Okay, Sonia Johnson, Brenda Lawler, Lala Love, and you again? Yes. Thank you, Marvin. And let me see who else is here. Lady Bird, Sonia Johnson. Okay, so I'm gonna keep scrolling here. Lorna Williams, Anita Macbeth. Thank you. All right, Carol Lunn, Stephanie Baker, Acelia E. Nelson, Dorothy Ross. Thank you so much for the hugs, Dorothy. Okay. All right. Hello, Joan Garcia, B10 Powell, Kim Peaches, Bev Smith. Okay. All right. So let's get started. I bought me some new reading glasses, the kind that pinch on the bridge of your nose. I just realized I don't have much of a bridge. Um, it's pinching something, but it's not looking like the Eurocentric guy that I saw on the video. So there's a lot of tension. Maybe I have an oily T zone and that's why it won't stay. I don't know. I'll get it sorted out some other time. But yeah, I saw in the commercial they were shaking their heads around and everything, and they would not fall out of place. But for me, these things are about to ricochet. Okay. Uh, hello. Okay. All right. So happy Juneteenth. And let me take this away so you guys can see it. There we go. There you go. So Juneteenth. Um, I have my understanding of what the holiday means, but um, hey, Big Mama of that vegetable garden. Oh yeah, that was part of that video, Camilla's Garden. It's hard to know what they're talking about. Those two, they're so provincial, right? So let me see here. Juneteenth. Okay, Juneteenth. Which, by the way, I ordered myself a Juneteenth T-shirt, but I'm afraid it is going to be late arriving. Let me see, but that's okay. I'll have it for next year, and I'll wear it anyway. Why would I not, right? I purchased it from the Smithsonian Museum. They have a gift shop, and they're selling Juneteenth stuff. Okay, that's no good. Let me turn that down. I just want to open up another thing so I can see what you guys are seeing. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad I did that. Kim Brown, 14 months. Thank you. Thank you for being a member for 14 months. See, that's why I have to open up another thing because um the what do you call this one? The StreamYard, it does not show that stuff. Very good. Thank you so much for that. So, according to Wikipedia, and they don't always get it right, I know, Juneteenth, National Independence Day, is a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the emancipation of enslaved African Americans, deriving its name from combining June and 19th. It has become known as Juneteenth. It is a celebration on the anniversary of the order by Major General Gordon Granger proclaiming freedom for enslaved people in Texas. Now, that is where it gets kind of confusing, and I will explain that. So, on June 19th, 1865, 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, originating in Galveston, Juneteenth has since been observed annually in various parts of the United States, often broadly celebrating African American culture. The day was recognized as a federal holiday in 2021 when President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Act into law. So it is a national holiday, but we don't get a day off for it. So it is not like, as they say in the UK, a bank holiday. Early celebrations date back to 1866 at involving church, the first involving church-centered community gathering in Texas. They spread across the South and became more commercialized in the 1920s and 30s, often centering on a food festival. Participants in the Great Migration brought these celebrations to the rest of the country. And the Great Migration, for those of you that don't know, that is when African Americans began leaving the South and moving to the North to take part in the Industrial Revolution of the 1900s. Let me see if I got the dates right. Well, the years. I think it was from 1920 right up until 1960. Families left the Jim Crow South and moved north. And then after the Civil Rights Movement, that all slowed down. And a lot of people, excuse me, a lot of African Americans never left the South. But a lot of people in the North would go back and visit. They would say, I'm going down South. I'm going down South. That means that you have some family in the southern states that you would go and visit. Let me see, beginning in Texas by proclamation in 1938 and by legislation in 1979, every U.S. state and the District of Columbia has formally recognized the holiday in some way. Juneteenth is celebrated by the Muskogos, descendants of Black Seminoles, who escaped from slavery in 1852 and settled in Chahila, was it Chahila, Texas? I'm sorry, not Texas, Mexico. Oh, I never heard that before. Okay, so Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and it went into effect on January 1st, 1863, promising freedom to enslaved people in all of the rebellious parts of the southern states of the Confederacy, including Texas. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free slaves in border states such as Delaware, Maryland, and West Virginia, nor in certain counties or parishes in otherwise rebellious states, because although the Emancipation Proclamation declared an end to slavery in the Confederate States, it did not end slavery in the states that remained in and loyal to the Union, meaning those states that fought against the South in the Civil War. As a result, for a short while after the fall of the Confederacy, slavery remained legal in Delaware and Kentucky. I never knew they had slavery in Delaware. Those enslaved people were not freed until the ratification of the 13th Amendment. Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished chattel slavery nationwide. So that's when it finally ended. Anyway, ending slavery in Texas. This is the part that I'm trying to get to. Okay, so Lincoln emancipated slaves in Texas. However, the news didn't get to everybody, and several hundred slaves in large towns by 1865 were estimated to be about 250,000 enslaved people in Texas. They didn't know that they were free. They had no idea they were free, and they stayed in slavery for an additional period of time, even though technically they were free. So there you go. Okay, so let's get on with it. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Hey, Lydia. Let me see. Sonia H. So that is the meaning of Juneteenth. It is Freedom Day. But rather than just call it Freedom Day, again, it's a combination of June and the 19th. And so that's where Juneteenth comes from. And don't you know that Orange Menace was supposed to formally announce his candidacy to run for president again? And he wanted to do it in the very town, um, what was it, where Black Wall Street was located. That is where he wanted to announce his run for a second election. And of course, what day did he want to do it? Juneteenth. And that was a dog whistle to his supporters, right? That was a dog whistle to show his, I guess, um, his domination over the black constituency. So that was pretty low down, but he's not the first president to do that. Ronald Reagan, I remember this from when I was young. Ronald Reagan announced his presidency the first time in the same town where the Klan was formed. So, again, Republicans tend to do things like that. And people say, why do you always vote Democrat? Huh. Well, everybody got their shade, but that one right there. Oh, thank you so much. I could not remember that to save my life. Thank you, Lola Love. Okay, so, and I love this flag. This is the first time I've ever seen this, but check it out. That is a Afrocentric African American flag that someone created for Juneteenth. So pretty cool. So I don't know how you guys celebrated, but across the country, in communities here and there, there have been celebrations all week long. Music, food, and so on. So, what a great way to celebrate. I think, of course, as Americans love to celebrate just about anything, this holiday is going to increase in popularity. And where one of my relatives live, they live in a town which is actually pretty diverse nowadays, a lot of college students, and they had a big celebration a weekend, and a lot of white people participated in the celebration, which was really cool. They had some soul music and a band from out of town and everything. So, okay. What's that? Oh yeah. Well, Charles, I don't blame you. I mean, what Harry's doing is not without its risk, but I'm sure as a couple they have discussed these things. And so I'm assuming you're referring to the legal case. I hope that's what it means. But as a couple, they have agreed upon certain things. And also, um, you have to stand and fight your corner. If you don't fight your corner, if you don't call out these evildoers, that is only going to give them encouragement. So it is necessary that Harry is fighting this fight that he's involved in. I mean, I get worried like anybody else, but it's not like they're going to leave the Sussexes alone if they just become very passive about these things. So, what I love about the way they are conducting themselves is that Harry and Meghan uh, mentions very few people by name, except for when it's absolutely necessary. That is very smart on their part. So, Have faith. Try not to worry about these things. I know it's easier said than done, but have faith. Mad World said, I went to my first black rodeo over the weekend. I was surprised by the diversity of the audience. Isn't that encouraging? It is just like Martin Luther King's dream that people would be able to participate in these things together and not just holidays that are from the European tradition, but from everybody's tradition. So I think it's quite encouraging. I am encouraged by it. Okay, and also June the 19th happens to be World Sickle Cell Day. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, it is a genetic trait. Oh boy, I didn't know I was going to have to think about this. It is a genetic trait. Let me get this right. And it causes the blood cells to become like, like glass shards almost. Anyway, it has to do with the way the blood flows, and it is horrendous on the organs, and it is also very painful. And those who suffer from it, the only way to get a sound treatment is with the help of a blood transfusion. And so people who have a certain type of blood are able to help those who suffer from sickle cell anemia. One of the ways I learned a little bit that I do know about it is from someone who has become quite the hero in my book. So remember, today is World Sickle Cell Anemia Day. And there she is. Peace. 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 She's actually a squatty, and she donates blood because her blood actually is a special type of blood that helps. You see there? June the 19th is World Sickle Cell Day. Today I went to donate my blood, RO blood. RO blood is used to help cure all chronic diseases like sickle cell disease. I have done my good deed for today, and it's now time to put my feet up and relax. You can also do a good deed. Blood donations save lives. Now, Peace is from the United Kingdom, and she was at the Hague for the Invictus Games, and also on other occasions, she has been there to support the Sussexes. So to me, she's like a super squatty. I don't know why she doesn't have her cape on, probably because she didn't want to, wrinkle it doing the blood donation, but she is very, very powerful. And what I just learned today is that she wrote a book. She wrote a book. Check that out. A World Without Sickle Cell, Peace Editorial. I hope I'm saying it right. A World Without Sickle Cell is a fictional romantic novel which highlights the effect of sickle cell anemia. This novel creates awareness about the importance of choices that is, people should be making before marriage. Lola's tragic story is heartbreaking, and when it feels like when it feels like she's about to find happiness, tragedy strikes again. Will Lola ever find happiness? She believes that she has been cursed. So that book was written by Peace. And guess what? It is available. It is available. You wait for it on Amazon. I just found that out today. And this book is from 2018, so it's been there. And this is the first time I've ever seen it. So if you're interested, you could always purchase your copy from Amazon. I have one in my basket right now. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Let me see. Actually, let me see if I can find that. Here I go looking for a video. I always do this. I don't think about it in the moment. It's always after the fact. And let me see. I'm going to tell you, if my vision gets any worse, they're going to put a white stick on the front of my car. They're going to put a white stick on the front of my car. Let me see here. Okay. Nope, that's not it. I wanted to show you peace in action. But actually, the first time I took notice of Peace, she was on one of the morning shows in the UK, and she was driving home the message about donating blood. And in the video, she was wearing a Sussex Squad t-shirt. I repeat, she was wearing a Sussex Squad t-shirt, which I thought was so cool. That's why I say she is absolutely fearless, courageous. And you don't know how it warmed my heart to see her with that t-shirt on. So, okay. All right. Nope, I cannot find it. I wanted to show. Oh, is this it? Let me see if this is it. Okay, I am going to cut to the chase because I didn't want to watch the entire video, but I'm trying to get to the part where we see peace in action, which is at the end here. I hope this is the right one.
Meghan, we love you!
There she is in the camouflage. That is peace in action. I told you guys she is a super squatty. And that's why she's in her camouflage, just in case something goes down. You know what I'm saying? So the Sussexes are in good hands when they're over in the UK. They got peace, right? Peace out. So there you go. I knew I had her somewhere. All right. So I guess you guys noticed Chris Ship with a P, not a T. He was there as well. You know, Mr. After Tuesday, I'm not going to ever talk about the Sussexes again. Well, Tuesday is about to roll over again for I don't know how many times. And guess what? He's still talking about the Sussexes. So again, you guys, there's a book on the, what is it, on the Amazon. And that was written by our superhero Peace. And it is about, I guess, finding love in a world where someone is suffering from sickle cell. And on this Awareness Day, if you know anyone who is suffering, you may want to consider gifting them that, or maybe reading the book to have a better understanding for yourself. So there you go. I have mine in the basket and ready to order. All right, now let's get to Hoghead. Let us get to Mr. Hoghead. Um, there was a recap that they listed on the Sky News. And it says here Coronation Street actor Michael Turner and former Mirror journalist David Seymour and Philip Penfold have given evidence today. Here's a recap of what we've heard. Former Mirror political journalist David Seymour told the court that former editor Piers Hoghead Morgan knew how to hack phones. These people are literally telling you that Hoghead not only knew of it, but he could actually demonstrate it, I suppose, when it comes to phone hacking. In his witness statement, he said Mr. Morgan used dubious methods, and that's posh for shady. He used dubious methods, and that's a story about how Princess Diana was cruel, intrusive, and false. Mr. Seymour said he had never been involved in unlawful information gathering himself. Of course, he wasn't. Coronation Street star Michael Turner, who played Kevin Webster and is known professionally as Michael Lavelle, told the court he believes he was the victim of unlawful information gathering due to a few coincidences, let's says. Well, and remember, some of the people who were wringing their hands with that false concern for Harry that he may not have a strong enough case. Unfortunately, the most of the evidence has been destroyed on a massive scale. They destroyed evidence. However, the evidence that they have, and it is not a lot, is usually a receipt for paying a private investigator. Also, if they can get any testimony out of anybody involved in the gathering of information, that is the other evidence they have. But I guess the biggest piece of evidence, which may not necessarily help their case, is the story itself, is the way that these journalists, or mostly paparazzi people, and of course these investigators who were able to go into medical records, go into phone records, and acquire the information that was needed to write these stories. So, unless everything is just the most massive coincidence ever, over and over again, then obviously someone was able to hack phones, to get into databases. Like, for instance, when I spoke about the actress Sienna Miller, when they got her information, someone actually called the doctor and requested her medical records. And then the doctor even told her, we sent those medical records. And that is how they found out that she was pregnant. It was because someone was pretending to be her current doctor or some other medical office. And that is the way that they managed to get her information. She sobbed and she cried during her interview right here. I mean, it was absolutely devastating, but that is how they got her information. Is someone posing as a medical professional spoke to her doctor's office. And so here she is thinking that someone in her family or a close friend sold her out to the tabloids. Because when you look at the article, it would say a friend says, a relative says, a source close to says, someone who works for says. And it turns out that they had actually gotten her medical records. I think they call it blagging or however they describe it. But that is how they found out that she was pregnant. And so I don't recall whether or not she had the baby or if she aborted, but either way, it was a tough position for her to be in. A very, very painful, horrific position because of this desire to get some type of a scoop on the rich, the famous, the poor, the downtrodden. It did not matter. All of these people, whether they're just common lay people, found themselves victims. And then here's some of the perpetrators, the accused and perpetrators. Terrible thing. So let's see. He told the High Court it makes him furious to think journalists were allegedly hacking into his voicemail when he was accused of that S word offenses, which he was later cleared of, and at his lowest point. The actor claims concerned 28 articles published between 1991 and 2011, covering a range of stories, including a burglary at his home and the births of his children. During cross examination by MGN's lawyer, that's the Mirror Group lawyer, Mr. Turner conceded that some of the details, included in stories he has complained about, were available publicly. Well, I suppose that is a factor, but um, some of the things that came out obviously were by ill-gotten gain. So he told how his is that Corey for Coronation Street co-stars thought he was a mole. Oh my goodness! And said his witness statement that he said at the time he found this more offensive than being called the S word. Mr. Turner's evidence is due to resume. So when you consider the weight of that, I mean, people literally assuming that you're a mole or that you're a gossip or something like that. This is how relationships rather have been destroyed because of the tabloids, leaving a person virtually friendless, estranged from their families in some cases, and super paranoid. No matter how careful you are, and I'm trying to think, it was who was the one married to Paul McCartney? She actually had six different telephones at one time because she went to the police, she went to the government, she told them that I don't know how they're getting into my phone, but they're getting into my phone. Well, part of it was from hacking, the other part was they were able to pass someone off as an employee of the phone company. Now, listen carefully to this. Once you get in with the employees at the phone company, meaning that you could call and reset someone's password or PIN number to their voicemail, right? Or you can get a copy of their phone records and see who they're speaking to and how long the conversations are going on. And dare I say, possibly a general idea of where you're located. And even though they thought that this uh, kind of stuff died out some years ago with what was the Levinson trial, as much pain, as much sorrow, and as disastrous as the phone hacking, amongst other things, has been to so many people, and we're talking thousands of people. I saw a figure of about $1 billion that has been paid out to claimants because of the tabloids. The other thing that I learned from watching that program the other night is that not only um, is it difficult to win against the tabloids, because it's just not easy. They have the evidence. They have the evidence. All you have are assumptions and possibly some slice of evidence, but usually you don't have much evidence. And if you lose the case and the tabloids have to pay you out, this is how they get away with it. If you lose the case and they have to pay you out, the legal costs may be so much more than whatever settlement that you get, that you will receive a settlement, but the bulk of the money will go toward paying the for their legal defense. I don't know how that works out, but that's why most people settle. And it took someone like Prince Harry, who, oh, sorry, that was from yesterday, who did not care about the settlement. Someone with deep enough pockets, which probably explains why they are celebrating this idea about them not having Spotify anymore, because I suppose they suspect that Harry is going to be too poor to keep the case going. So Harry could have settled. William settled, and they say he got around $1 million. Harry's not interested in a settlement. Harry wants full disclosure. He wants a permanent record of what they've done. He wants those names in the record. Regina Mercedes, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Okay. So there you go. Prince Harry says democracy fails when, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. Democracy fails when your press fails to scrutinize and hold the government accountable, and instead choose to get in bed with them so they can ensure the status quo. And that, of course, means one hand washes the other hand, and both hands washes the face. That is all that means, is that they're in bed together. The press, the government, and of course, quite a few members of that family that are supposed to be above politics. The idea is that the sovereign, the monarch, will be able to somehow stop the government from overreaching. Like, for instance, let's say you have a Tory government, and that Tory government, despite all of the benefits of being involved in the European Union, decide that we don't want the European Union. We want to be populist. We want to use a culture war to seize power, to make untold money, to provide nepotism, and also to elevate our friends and other shady people. And you would imagine that, oh, the sovereign will step in, and the sovereign will make sure that they don't do anything with her government that is going to be detrimental to the greater part of the population, right? Wrong. That did not happen. The Queen didn't do anything. The Queen sat back and watched it all happen. Now, of course, there's a school of thought that says, well, the Queen can't be in politics, and that the Queen has to be above politics. Well, if she's the commander in chief and she's the last line of defense from a government that is being overzealous, then what hope do you have? What is the point of having a monarch if the monarch, that last line of defense, is unable or unwilling to do anything? So, of course, we all remember when the Queen wore that one outfit that clearly was a signal that she wanted to stay in the European Union. But unfortunately, she could only signal with her fashions and not actually get involved. So that was too bad. And of course, a lot of people are paying the price for it. Everything costs more money. And did you hear that there was a second line for people who were trying to go through customs. Actually, they had a line for people to go through customs. I think it was in Italy or someplace, whereas the rest of the people in the European Union, they would just go right through the security. But if you were British, you had to get your passport stamped. You were othered, in other words. The other thing I heard was that roaming with your mobile phones is a thing. Someone said, "Oh no, there won't be any charges for roaming when you go to continental Europe." Well, from what I hear, that has already started because, well, it started. Thank you, Boris and Nigel Farage and all the rest of the liars. Who's paying the price? The common, everyday, working class person. They're the ones who are getting the short end of the stick because of Brexit. Now, I don't know if you recognize this guy, but if you notice, we use gate as a suffix to so many different things, right? And of course, how about jewelry gate? I mean, everything is a gate. Gate this, gate that. There's so many gates. Um, Let me see if I could think of one or two. Uh, how about Partygate? Huh? How about Partygate? Can you guys think of any gates? And not Bill Gates. I mean Gates. But anyway, Gates has become part of the vernacular. It is part of our everyday life, all because of this gentleman. He's the one who started it unwillingly, but it's because of him. He's a security guard, and he was working at a place called the Watergate. And because of him, he noticed that there was something that didn't look right. I think he had saw like tape on a door knob or door jamb or something like that. And anyway, he reported it. He called the popo. And that is when the world started using the term Watergate. It was a way to describe scandal, right? So his name is Frank Wills. And, well, bruh Frank was just doing his job. He was 24 years old at the time. And he became a footnote in history that he couldn't have even imagined. Oh, Sophie Gate. Oh, we got some gates here. Let me see here. Watergate. Let me see. Jewelry Gate. Let me see. Sophie Gate. Thank you, Big Mama. Camilla Gate. Pizza Gate. That's a good one. Okay. Okay, that'll do for now. But yeah, so anyway, there he is, Frank Wills. I think it's been like 51 years since the Watergate. I think it's been 51 years. But yeah, this poor guy right here, he never benefited from that. As a matter, oh, thank you, Elaine Parker. You get a bell for that one. Peggate. Oh, you get a bell for that one. Everybody gets a bell. Yes, tampon gate. But there it is, a suffix used to denote a political scandal. Originated with the Watergate scandal during the Nixon administration. Failgate and Chinagate are examples. And of course, I thought about Jewelry Gate and Moneybag Gate. But what I bet most people don't know is that Watergate is an actual place that still exists. Take a look there. You have the Watergate complex is a group of 6 buildings in the Froggy Bottom. Froggy Bottom neighborhood of Washington, D.C. in the United States, covering a total of 10 acres. And let me see here. Or 4 hectares or hectares. Is that what that means? Just north of the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. The building includes Watergate West, Watergate 600 building. It's an office building. Watergate Hotel, Watergate East. Those are co-op apartments. Watergate North, uh, yeah, cooperative apartments. Watergate South, also apartments, and Watergate Building, which is the office building where the burglary took place. Yes, it started with a burglary. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I was 24 years old, I did not become part of history. But he did. He did because of the Watergate burglary. But he was the security guard at the time. And I was thinking about this too. I'm kind of upset that more people in the Black community did not reach out to try to help this guy. Edwina Gate, thank you. That they didn't try to help this guy. As a matter of fact, he was falsely accused of theft at one point and even went to prison. This guy should have been a national hero. But instead, he has had a very, very tough life and unfortunately passed away. Oh gosh, how long ago was that he passed away? But he passed away a broken man. He did not benefit in any way whatsoever from anything to do with Watergate, which is really, really sad. So I saw the photo on the what do you call it, on the Twitter, and I was like, oh yeah, that guy. So I wanted to, let you know that Watergate is a real place and that not everybody, um, benefited from writing books and stuff like that. Although there is a book about his life, but I'm afraid, well, it wasn't good for him. So, oh my God, G. Gordon Liddy, I remember that name, G. Gordon Liddy. I think G. Gordon Liddy was like the only person from the White House, was it, that went to jail? I think he was the only one from the White House that went to jail. But yeah, so that is why we use the term Watergate. And this guy is the one who started it. If it wasn't for him, I bet you most people would not have even ever heard of the Watergate complex or anything like that. Frank Wills was a security guard best known for his role in foiling the June 17th, 1972, yes, it has been 51 years, break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters inside the Watergate complex, Washington, D.C. 24 years old at the time, he called the police after discovering that locks at the complex had been tampered with. And that is how it all started. He died in 2000. The year 2000 is when he died. Poor guy. Poor guy. What an existence he had. Let me see here. Life of poverty, yeah. For the next 20 years, Will struggled to establish and maintain roots and stability while suffering from bouts of unemployment. He shuttled between Washington, D.C. and other southern cities, with some time spent in the Bahamas. He said in an interview that Howard University feared losing their federal funding if they hired him. Did you hear that? That sounds just like the royal family, doesn't it? A security job with Georgetown University did not last long. Also, he worked in a failed stint as a diet food spokesman. That I would have failed that if I just showed up, with comedian Dick Gregory. And in the mid 70s, he finally settled in North Augusta, South Carolina, to care for his aging mother who had suffered a stroke. Together, they survived on her $450 per month Social Security check. This guy was down to nothing. They lived off his mother's Social Security check. Wills was convicted of shoplifting and fined $20 for years later. He was convicted of shoplifting a pair of sneakers from a store in Augusta, Georgia, and sentenced to 1 year in prison. By the time his mother's death in 1993, Wills was so destitute that he had to donate her body to medical research because he had no money with which to bury her. This guy should have been a national hero. Well, finally, he did receive some recognition. He was honored by the NAACP, Civil Rights Organization. Musician Harry Nilsson dedicated his 1973 album, A Little Touch of, is that Schmilson in the Night? Democratic committee gave Wills an award, and the chairman said that he played a unique role in the history of the nation. Oh, man. And according to Wills' obituary in the New York Times, the most eloquent description of his role in American history came in July the 29th, 1974, by Representative James Mann while casting his vote to impeach Nixon. So he got nothing. He really got nothing. I was just so shocked when I found out how awful his life was, how awful it was. It was nothing gained from the fact that he did his job. He was not rewarded. Nothing. Happy Juneteenth. So that's the Watergate complex. And if you take a look here, this is the actual building. Now, another reason, see, I think this building, and no offense to people in Florida, I think just like the state of Florida, this building is cursed, or these buildings are cursed. Guess who else used to live at the Watergate? Monica Lewinsky. She was actually next door neighbors with Robert Dole, Bob Dole, Senator Dole, the one that ran for president. They were neighbors. And of course, well, we know what happened with Monica and Bill. So I say this place is cursed. They ought to tear it down and just start over again. This building to me is like the state of Florida. Nothing good ever comes out of it. No offense to people from Florida. But Florida is a bad luck state, and these are bad luck buildings. It looks like a pretty cool place to live, though. I mean, you're right there by the river and everything, but bad luck. And there's a view from the distance. You can see how massive it is. 10 acres, 6 buildings, and mixed use, residence, office, etc. And probably some secret bunker just in case of World War III or something. Don't forget, Netflix has started streaming. Netflix is doing extremely well on, I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. Suits is streaming on Netflix, not Netflix streaming on Suits. But they're doing extremely well. It is quite popular. Last time I looked, it was in 3rd place when it comes to popularity for TV shows. So I probably won't go through the series anytime soon. I have never seen a full episode, and I'm just afraid I'll get stuck, and then you all won't hear from me for days. So I'm just not ready yet. But check this out. Here's some comments that some newbies to Suits. I started watching Suits, and Meghan is literally so beautiful. And then someone else said, this guy says, watching Suits, Meghan is fine AF. I can see why Harry left his family for her. And Meghan Markle looks so, I'm going to say, effing good in this show, Suits. My people. Also, Meghan Markle in Suits is just unreal. Princess Markle. And then lastly, there's this one. That's why William was losing his mind when Harry brought her home and why he ended up in the dog bowl. He just couldn't take it, knowing Harry was going to have her all to himself all day and all night. Woo, talk about rubbing it in. Talking about rubbing it in. So that is why Harry ended up in the doggy dish, because William had some ideas of his own. And yeah, well, there you go. Okay. Okay. And let me go here. Okay, finally, Suit Yourself. Half of UK lawyers say legal TV drama influenced their decision to enter the law, according to a new survey. London based commercial law firm EM Law surveyed 500 legal employees to understand what influence TV show had on their career decision. And of course, they all said Suits. And then take a look here. Feinberg forecasts Emmys projections as nominations voting gets underway. Looks like, well, the Harry and Meghan's Netflix docuseries is in a great position. As a matter of fact, is one of the front runners to win an Emmy Award. So keep your fingers crossed. Now, it looks like they got some stiff competition. I mean, people love Ethan Hawke's. Ken Burns, well, he's no stranger to winning. U.S. and the Holocaust? I don't know. The 1619 Project? 100-foot wave? Come on. That is some tough competition. This forecast, assembled by the Hollywood Reporter Awards columnist Scott Feinberg, reflects his best attempt to predict the behavior of the Academy of Television and Arts and Science, not his personal preferences. He arrived at these standings by drawing upon consultations with voters and strategists, analysis of marketing and campaigns, results of awards that precede the Emmys, and the history of the Emmys itself. There will be regular updates to reflect new developments. So this is an ongoing question as to who is likely to win. So watch that space. It looks like Kate Middleton's brother has also found himself in a spot of bother. Kate Middleton's brother sells business just days after it went under with a £800,000 debt. Well, that was from last year. And then take a look there. James Middleton sells greeting card business, Boomf, to Estonian businessman for £300,000 just a month after it went into administration, bankruptcy, with £800,000 in debt. Boy, I tell you, those Middletons, they really were able to monetize the closeness with the royal family. Now, everybody thought that he was, like, for lack of a better word, the biggest loser when it came to business. But it turns out his mama knows how to run a multi-million-dollar company into the ground better than anybody. So what's scary, though, is that there he is pictured with Dan Wooten, Kate's brother in Nazi Storm. Now, for the sake of good taste, I covered up those marshmallows. But the idea of the business is that the marshmallows were covered with decals, I guess edible decals of different images or whatever. As a matter of fact, was there an example of it here? Yeah, on the left side, you can see those are actually marshmallows. Now, it would take someone like one of the Middletons to say, why don't we put some images on marshmallows? Edible images. So that was his contribution to the economic success of Great Britain. If anything was going to usher in a stronger economy, it would have to be James Middleton and his Nazi marshmallows. The Duchess of Cambridge's brother, James Middleton, leaves a debt trail of £800,000, says Miss Richard Eaton, including £146,000 owed to taxpayers. And there's my Middleton, much loved retailer, to close 9 stores this month, and shoppers can bag up to 50% discounts. Now, that headline is from today. The party, what is it? Is it Partyland? God, I forgot the name of it. What is it called? Party City. Party City is axing 9 stores across the United States after filing for bankruptcy. I think it's a ripple effect. I think that they have been jinxed by Carol Middleton. Now, of course, I can't say for sure Carol had anything to do with it, but I think Carol Middleton is a jinx. Florida is a jinx, and the Watergate apartment complex is a jinx. All 3 of those things got the jinx on them. So she put the stank eye on the party pieces business, and now everybody's going belly up. Thanks, Carol Middleton. I should have known when I saw her wandering the aisles and wearing something that was probably purchased for her daughter. I should have known that things were going to go belly up. She's a jinx, a troublemaker. Party supply company helmed by the mother of Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, debuts in New Jersey. Well, that was back in October of 2022. Fast forward, gosh, what is it, 8 months? Probably, yeah, 8 months since then. And now the whole industry is tanking. Oh, yes, absolutely. I do have it. Yes, so now the whole industry is tanking. So, that is my opinion. I'm sure that it is not rooted in reality. I'm just being shady. This is for parody only, but I tell you, I know a jinx when I see one. And she's a jinx. Do you hear me? A jinx! A jinx. She's a jinx. Bad luck. Okay, so Cloud Nugget. As you know, Cloud Nugget has created some amazing edits on the social media. So, since the Rangers are having a complete meltdown over Princess Meghan's possibly signing with Dior, I figure why not annoy them even more? Laugh out loud. There'll be one of these every darn day until their brains complete the melting process. So, let's see what we got here. Ha ha! There you go, Miss Dior. Blooming Bouquet, Miss Dior. So apparently, Cloud Nugget has reimagined a Dior fragrance custom made for our Duchess, just to make sure that the haters and derangers, by the way, there is someone who has a hate account that has decided that they were going to beg Dior not to sign on with the Sussexes. Now, that person who I shall not name because I don't want to do anything for their situation, um, had the nerves to say some things about Meghan's appearance. And I promise you, if you could see that tough piece of gristle that somebody spit out after a chicken dinner, you'd be like, she got a nerve. She's got some cheek. I mean, she looks like a tough piece of gristle that somebody then chewed and chewed and chewed and then phew, spit it out on the corner of the plate. And she got the nerves to come after the Duchess of Sussex. When I tell you that heifer looked bad, I mean, she looked like she had been rained on, rode hard, and put away wet. I mean, just a big sloppy mess. No kind of frills whatsoever. Plain Jane. She gives new meaning to the term plain Jane and got kind of a rat face. I mean, she got those ratty, suspicious looking eyes. And I think the only thing that really helped give her some type of, I guess, street cred is that she took a photo with Mumbles. But other than that, it just amazes me that some of the most dog faced, rat faced people out there got the nerves to want to try to clock Meghan for her appearance. The worst thing that could have possibly have happened since New York was being papped again. But as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't a total disaster. Makeup free Meghan. Well, everybody 41 years old should look as well as Meghan does, makeup free. So again, that individual went there, and I promise you, prom night was spent with her family. That's all I'm going to say about her. I'm going to leave it there. I promise you, she spent her prom with her family, and that was it. Whoever was supposed to show up did not show up. And so she has finally found a gravy train, and all she has to do is expose herself as the R word that she is. That's all she had to do was expose herself as the R word. It's not so much that she loves the Cambridges. Nay, it seems to be more important that she demonstrates day after day how much she hates Meghan. That is the whole source of her entertainment. That is the whole base of her information. It never really is about uplifting the Welleses or the Cambridges or whatever they are. It's all about targeting Meghan and to a lesser extent Harry. But it's not that any of them really care for the Cambridges. They're boring. What brings them together is hate. That's it. They have nothing else. So, I mean, right now, in my mind's eye, I can see those ratty eyes looking at me, just like with the presence of a New York sewer rat. That's all I can see is rat. So, Victoria Ward, I think she's the Telegraph. The Duchess of Sussex is not in talks to sign a deal with Dior. Sources insist they say there is no truth to the claims that she will partner with French fashion house. They, what is it? What is it? Uh, they previously, that's it, short for previous. They previously denied that a deal between Harry and Dior was in the offering after he wore the label. So there is no deal. That's the whole point. There is no deal. And sorry you had to wait an hour and 10 minutes to hear me say that, hour and 11 minutes, but there is no deal. I don't believe there is a deal. If there was one, we probably would have heard it by now. There would have been a big announcement, but that is not the direction that the Sussexes are going. If they were to do something commercial like that, I would say that would probably be never. I think it's highly unlikely. Meghan and Harry, both of them have upheld the dignity of their titles ever since they were bestowed upon them. Now, in spite of the fact that they have been viciously attacked day after day by the tabloid media, there has been leaks and briefings from members of the royal family. They have maintained a certain level of decorum and dignity, and they will continue to do so. They are a prince and princesses of the realm. So that is not something where you lightly enter into trade. So that is not likely to happen. I won't say anything is impossible, but unless there is some component of charity involved with it, again, unless there is some component of charity involved with it, I don't see any mechanism for them to join with Dior. I don't see it. They wear the label because they enjoy the fashions. It's quality, it's well put together, it's quality materials. That's it. They're just people that happen to have more disposable income than most and love quality pieces. Nothing else to it. They already have global ambassadors for 2023. They have Jameen or whoever that is, Robert Pattinson, Dilraba Dil Marat. Oh, that's a mouthful. Elizabeth Debicki, the one who played Princess Diana. Jisso. Let me see. Anya Taylor Joy. Heron, whoever that is, and Caleb McLaughlin. So those are the people that represent the brand, not Harry and Meghan. They're members of the royal family. They're not in for commercial trade. Again, unless there is a charity involved, I don't see them getting involved with something like that. So there is a sample of Harry's suit when they constructed it for the coronation. There's that beautiful Dior handbag. Some people call it the Princess Diana bag. Diana had an identical bag. And Meghan, we saw that when they went to Central Park that day. Oh, my allergies, you guys. Hold on a second. My allergies. Give me just a second. And let's face it, Harry looks good in Dior. Harry looks good in just about anything. And of course, there were these Dior moments. Now, I can tell you for sure, on the left side, the very first photo, Meghan, they actually did a tweet about it. They tweeted about how honored they were that Meghan was wearing a Dior dress. I don't know if they tweeted about every time they have worn one, but I know they tweeted about Harry for the coronation. As you can see here, that is part of a tweet from Dior. So there you go. Classic, elegant, clean lines, Dior. Let me see. Lorna Williams says if Dior offered a ready-to-wear collection on a price point of Harry and Meghan for working women, I could see Meghan getting involved. You get a bell for that, Lorna. That is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for saying that. It took me about 3,000 words to say that, but yes. Lorna Williams, you should have a channel. It took me about 3,000 words to say that. Hey, Church Nelly. Oh, the maternity gown? Yeah. But Church Nelly, where would you put your iron if you had something like that? And I'm not talking about your clothing iron. Where would you put your straight razor? I mean, where would you put all that stuff? So I know you like it, but I don't think that something like that would be. I don't see that any of these would be suitable for you. They don't have easy access for weapons. So I'm afraid, Church Nelly, even if you do like Dior, maybe you can get like a custom pocket or something. Maybe you can get a custom pocket, at least something where you can whip out those brass knuckles, something. But uh, oh, you go old school. Okay. Church Nelly conceals her weapons old school. There you go. Okay. All right. A strategically placed split in the hem or something like that, and easy access, just in case somebody starts something. Hey, Claire Canes is here. Hey, Claire Kane. Yes, so you guys, sorry to break it to you, but there, if you were thinking that, but I think most squatties know to wait to hear from the Sussexes. I say it is highly unlikely, and as I believe it was Lorna Williams said, unless there was something involved that would help women or something of that effect, a ready to wear line, then not likely, not likely. So essentially, the tabloid media has done what they do so well, is that they stirred up a whole bunch of conversation. And I mean to tell you, that story is trending like crazy. The idea that Harry and Meghan are about to sign with Dior. It is not true. When it's true, we will hear it from them. I don't think it's likely. I think that they could probably do very well with anything like that, but I don't think it's time. I don't think it's that time yet. I couldn't rule out anything for sure because I don't know them, but I think I understand what their intentions are. They want to be behind the camera, they want to be in production, they want to get involved with the arts as well as their charity, and that's it. Their philanthropy, their foundation, all of that stuff is very important to them. But the idea of them doing something like this is just not likely at all. So um, that's it. That's what I wanted to say about that. Is probably, likely, and definitely not. Now, take a look at this. Somebody has been channeling their mother in law again. As you can see, Waity Katie decided to channel Diana for the what is that thing? The Order of the Garter, that druid um, cult custom thing that they do. Notice Prince Harry never got involved with that. God only knows what goes on there, but Harry probably knows something we don't with that secret guild or organization, and that's probably why he wants nothing to do with it. Um, and then, of course, the green. Well, that silhouette is very Diana, the million button coat. And it made me think about something. Is she going to abandon the flying saucer hat? Well, apparently not, because she decided to wear a flying saucer for the Order of the Garter. If you look there at her polka dot, she's wearing the flying saucer hat. And so I decided to Google Kate Middleton flying saucer and take a look there. Kate Middleton flying saucer hat. You Google it, and guess what comes up? Kate Middleton flying saucer hat. It is a flying saucer that has landed in a flower patch, in a flower garden. That's what it is. It is an abstract artwork. It depicts a flying saucer that has just landed on Earth and just crash landed into a bed of flowers. That is her typical look, especially if she is going to wear white to somebody else's wedding. She goes for the flying saucer hat. And the other day with the Troop and the Colors, I started thinking, so maybe Sophie is going to take over the flying saucer. No, Sophie has her own thing going. But you know what? The last time, well, not the last time, but one of the first times that Kate tried to channel um, the Princess Diana look, she ended up looking like Rosemary's Baby. See? Tell me that's not Rosemary's Baby. She tried to look like her mother in law and wound up turning into Rosemary's Baby. And even the tweet right there says, not sure about this Rosemary's Baby remake, though, to be honest, it says. They're not sure about the Rosemary's Baby remake. Oh my goodness, I am tripping all over my words today, you guys. I'm so sorry. I get like that sometimes. But so I think that Sophie is stuck between a rock and a Pharrell Williams. So that is her flying saucer hat that she wore to the Troop and the Colors. But notice she gave it a little bend on the end. See how she turned it up? So she's trying to do a cape, but she doesn't want to do a complete cape. And you'll notice here, she has one of her versions of, it's more like a swoop than a flying saucer. It's kind of like a swoop and a saucer, right? But yeah, so she's got that Pharrell 10-gallon hat going. She has a few of those, by the way. It seems as though she was trying to make it catch on, kind of like the jumpsuits, and it just never really happened like she thought it would. So she kind of thought, well, let me do a little flying saucer, let me do a little flower patch, and then we'll crimp it on the end. So that is how she has I guess, an amalgamation of other looks. She's blending the looks. But my favorite hat for her is the one that the Queen gave her before the Queen passed away after shaking hands with Liz Truss. The Queen's last gift to the Countess of Wessex was the Corgi Poo hat. I call it the Corgi Poo. As you can see, one of the footmen actually went out to the garden, to the quadrangle, and they retrieved a few boulders of corgi poo. And the Queen had them bag it up in a very posh but solid knot, and she just slapped it upside her head, and that is what she wore to honor the Queen on several occasions. She went and found her corgi poo hat, and that's what she wore. So I think that's a good look for her. It honors Her Majesty the Queen, and surely nobody else is going to wear the same thing. So if I was the the Duchess of Edinburgh, I would continue to wear the corgi poo hat. And lastly, there is the Grandma Moses hat. One of the squatties actually noticed that, well, Kate seemed to bear a striking resemblance to Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies. This is one of my favorites right here. And I can see the resemblance. Jet! Jet! Remember how Granny used to yell, Jet! Jet! Well, I'm going to cook some some possum stew and some, oh, she could name it, couldn't she? But yeah, so that I will say is it for today. Thank you all so much for watching Royal Sussex. Thank you all for your very generous contributions to Royal Sussex. And let's see. Oh, and thank you to the moderators for keeping this a safe space. And yeah, Granny Clampett. Well, actually, Jed was the Clampett, And I think Granny's last name was Moses. I think that was the name they gave her, but she wasn't a Clampett. Or was she? Granny Clampett? I'm trying to remember. Maybe she was. Yes, so that was Jed's, but that wasn't Jed's mother, was it? Oh, I can't remember Uncle Jed's mother. No, she wasn't Uncle Jed's mother. They were kind of like a blended family. Jethro was was yeah, Jethro and Ellie, sister and brother, and Granny, I guess, yeah. I think Granny was from the mother's side of the family, right? Because Jed was a widower. Yeah, the widower Clampett. And so Granny, I think, was from um his wife's side of the family, I think. Yes, it was Moses. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. It was Moses. Thank you so much, Iris Jones. That's what I thought. Oil, that is. Black gold, Texas tea. Well, the next thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. Ken folks said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they went out and gathered some corgi poop and gave it to Sophie. Yeah, so they went out and gathered some corgi poop and they gave it to Sophie. Hat, that is, bagged up, tied in a knot. The Sophie Hillbillies. Okay. Oh, Jethro was Jed's nephew. Uncle Jed. You're right. You're right. Jethro was Uncle Jed's nephew. And Ellie Mae was his daughter, right? And they used to love to go out and swim by the cement pond. And they had a billiard table. They never did figure out what a billiard was, but when you cook those victuals, you're supposed to take those pot passers, which most people in the Western culture would refer to as a pool cue. They call them pot passers. You know what? You know what? When you start making sense out of the Beverly Hillbillies, you didn't watch too much television. Or you probably spend most of your summers barefoot. Andrew Bodie, thank you so much for the super sticker and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Yeah, so I remember the cement pond. I remember the pot passers. And let me see, what else? Oh, you do Joya more, huh? Oh, well, you know what? They probably had Ellie Mae and Jethro cousins so that they could play up on the idea. You know how they always say that situation with families in Appalachia. I think they were trying to play up on the idea that, that cousins and stuff like that. What am I saying? I mean, that happens with the royal family too, doesn't it? Cousins. Bodine was Jethro's last name. Yeah, Jethro Bodine. And Pearl Bodine. That was Jethro's mother, right? Pearl. Remember Pearl Bodine? They left her back in Tennessee and they brought her as a guest star every so often. I remember Pearl. So Pearl was Jethro's mother, and Ellie Mae's mother must have passed away when she was a youngin'. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you said peace. Just to remind you guys, this is the sickle cell month, and some people of African American, Mediterranean, and I think definitely Caribbean descent have traits of the sickle cell, and I believe that certain blood types, which include, is it just RO blood? Well, anyway, Peace has the RO blood, and she said that is what is very effective as a treatment for sickle cell. It is a very painful disease. And on a more serious note, there was a young girl whose family was part of the migrants at the border, and she was very ill. She had heart disease. I think this girl was like 9 years old or something like that, maybe younger. And they didn't get medical treatment. Most likely, I'm just going to say it, I think it was because of her race. They didn't seem to take serious the fact that this girl was in trouble, and she passed away because of a combination of things, including her sickle cell anemia. So it's a very serious thing. So you guys, please read up about it. And if you can do something about it, or if you can make a contribution or something like that, that would also be very good. Let me see. Pearl was Jed's sister, Jethro's mother. Got it. Boy, I tell you, you guys know a lot about the Beverly Hillbillies. Aunt Pearl, they made a song called Pearl, Pearl, Pearl. Is there something dirty about that song? Wait a minute, why am I saying that? What? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry that happened. Wow. Yeah, sometimes, the rules about the what do you call it? About the YouTube can be rather vague and ambiguous, and it's kind of hard to know what's right, and some of it is just done by trial and error. And all of us who have channels have suffered likewise, where we have either been well, you guys know they yanked one of my videos one day because they said that I forgot what it was, but didn't hurt the channel at all. As a matter of fact, it only helped things. So okay, very, very cool. Huh. So yeah, it only helped things. So that didn't work, but people still tried. And yes, there's some haters out there that are actively trying to get rid of the Sussex squad. And well, anyway, it is an awful shame that stuff like that happens. So you guys, as I always say, please support these Sussex friendly spaces, because let me tell you something. This right here is work. And even though it seemed like it's just a matter of sitting around and talking, that's exactly what I thought I was getting into. And it is a labor of love. Don't get me wrong. I really, really, really enjoy what I'm doing, but it takes a lot to do it. And so that's why when I see a channel that you could see the work that's going into it, and yet I'm like, oh my God, they should have more subscribers. Look at how hard they're working. That is why I constantly refer people to those other channels, because it is a lot of work, and it does help the community to have more Sussex friendly spaces. So I do what I can, and the rest is up to you guys to subscribe, like, and share. So never hesitate to do that. And if you think for some reason that the channel is not really upholding the dignity of the Sussex squad, then we just don't watch them, right? Right. That's it. Nothing personal, but we're here for Harry and Meghan and their various causes and other like-minded people. And if something doesn't jive with that, then we just move on. So And I thank you guys for you know the support that I've received all this time, and and following up with some of the people that I suggested or other people suggested. It all helps out in the end. It really does. So okay, so again, it is Sickle Cell Day. It is also Juneteenth, and Peace has a book which is available on Amazon, and it's not terribly expensive. So take a look. It's not terribly expensive. I saw it myself. That is the title. It's on Amazon, A World Without Sickle Cell. And I believe Peace right now is doing a fundraiser for Well Child. Um, I don't have the link for it, but if you're on Twitter, you can go to her page and find the link. Um, but yeah, she's also doing a fundraiser for the Well Child, and the link goes directly to Well Child. It goes directly to Well Child. So if you're in the giving mood, that is something else that you can look into. Yeah, I tell you, I wish I was more like Peace. I really do. I've always wanted to be someone who could, you know, multitask and do several things and be that very spirited, community minded person. But I tend to do one thing at a time. It's difficult for me to multitask. Well, why am I telling you guys? You've seen Royal Sussex. So it's very difficult for me to multitask. But I mean, Peace is like a force of nature. I admire that energy and that focus. I wish I could do that. So, I mean, how many people get up off their sofa, work a full time job, help fundraise, be that supportive with the Sussexes, right? And is very active. This is not the first time I've seen this. Been very active with the sickle cell day. I spoke about it last year, and so when I saw it was coming up, I made it a point to put it on the calendar because I didn't want to let it pass by. So, but again, if you can donate blood or something like that, except for Church Nelly, we don't want to get anybody intoxicated. Not you, Church Nelly. We don't want anybody overserved while they're going through an emergency or surgery or something like that. We don't want anybody to get overserved. Um, they, after anesthesia, they want the people to wake up today. You know what I mean? They want people to wake up and not have a hangover after having some surgical procedure. Yeah, so Church Nelly, you can keep that 80 proof blood of yours, but everybody else, consider it, okay? Okay. So that's just my Could you imagine waking up from surgery and aside from everything else, you have to ask the doctor, why do I have a hangover? Church Nelly must not be here. Oh well. Oh well. I'll get her next time. But yeah, so that's it, you guys. Thank you so much. I enjoyed today, and I feel good about the future for a lot of things for myself, for the community, for the Sussexes, even though they have been working overtime in Narnia to try to do everything they could. I just feel like something really big is coming up for the Sussexes, and they are going to be walking around over on Fleet Street and in the various halls of Windsor with egg on their face. You'll see. So You know, when the Sussexes get quiet, something big is about to happen. So we'll just have to wait and see. Okay. There we go. Juneteenth. All right, you guys. I love you guys so much. I am going to look for the last word of the day. That's the last word. Patricia Ann Franklin says, Happy Juneteenth. That looks like a closing to me. Oh, thank you, Andrew Bodie. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, I am going to cue the Ginger Avenger. Oh, the Queens. The Queens. What happened to the Queens? I knew I was missing something. There we go. Our Queens. Our Queens. That is the source of the Sussex strength. The Queens. All right. Now I can say it. I am going to cue the Ginger Avenger, and I will see you all tomorrow.